It's no secret that NCAA basketball is a bit of a dying art. In fact, in the sense that we're not getting as many high caliber talents as we used to in the NCAA, and they may elect to go play somewhere else. So I have Rome today to discuss this topic. He's been a big advocate over the course of the year that the NCAA is dying, that we're going to see one of the craziest March Madnesses ever because the gap in talent is not quite like it used to be. And Roman, we don't get to see that this year, but do you think college basketball is dying?
Yeah, it's dying. We were seeing constant upsets more than any other. We were seeing a team as big as North Carolina. Even they had Cole Anthony, who's a great player, were not nearly as good as they used to be. They're getting beat by subpar teams. They weren't even ranked at some point. Plus, there's so many different leagues opening up, especially with how Doncic came in the league with such success. He was playing in Spain. It's just looking like it's slowly dying off, and other leagues are trying to take over.
Popular player coming into the draft this year, the name that most people know is LaMelo Ball, and he doesn't play in the NCAA. And Wiseman is probably second most popular. That's only because he had the scandal with NCAA. The most popular players are not the ones playing in the NCAA anymore. It's about playing the EuroLeague and whatnot. If you look at, it's going to be harder to draft as well out of the NCAA this year because we didn't get to see March Madness. That's where, probably the biggest chunk of scouting is done. So where would you want to play if you were a guy coming out of high school?
Out of high school at the moment, it really depends what country you're coming out of and that stuff. If we're actually going to talk about the best avenue to get in, it's still the States. It's still college ball. Even though I'm saying I'm against the way college balls ran, the way that the NCAA runs it, it's still where you get the most exposure. We're seeing a decline in it and an increase from other leagues, especially with ball, and even Doncic for another example.
Doncic is the best example.
But still, we're seeing subpar players that get drafted just because of a tournament, and that's not going to happen anywhere else.
Yeah, that's if you're not the highest caliber kind of recruit, if you're not like a 5-star recruit coming out of high school, then NCAA is your best avenue. But if you are that 5-star recruit, why not go play in a European league or the Australian league and improve your draft stock even further? And in fact, it's probably better towards tailoring a game towards the NBA, playing in a professional league, playing against grown-ass men. Like Luka Doncic said in his first year, like it's like playing defense in the EuroLeague is easier, is harder than the NBA. So obviously, probably a bit of embellishment on Luka Doncic's part, yeah. But it's easier to prepare for a men's league when you're playing in another men's league and getting used to the system. And at least you can make money when you're doing that before. Like, the big debate still, you can't make money in the NCAA, right?
Well, we may see that change, not with the NCAA itself actually paying their players, but it looks like some states are trying to pass bills that allow players to make money off their name. If those go through, I'm not 100% sure if they're official yet, but that could be a big jump in why players actually want to play in the States if they can make money.
Yeah. I think the NCAA, or just college in general, they need to adapt to this trend where European and Australian leagues and whatnot are going to become more popular than the NCAA potentially. So how can you get players to come? Well, you're not making any money at the NCAA, so maybe you can start making money. I was saying this before. It's amazing to think someone like some tremendous basketball players playing in college who are insanely popular, who will never make a cent off their basketball ability. So at least you're getting paid off of your name. That makes sense to me because the popular players deserve the money. Like, I'm going to kind of spin this towards the NCAA paying debate. Like, if you want to pay your athletes, okay, now you got to decide, do different sports make a certain amount of money? Do men make more money than women? Are you allowed to have men make more money than women? Can you pay them equal amounts and to be able to afford both? So you have to consider all these things. Would it be fair to pay the men more than the women in a college setting? Would it be fair to pay basketball players more than lacrosse players? Those are the kind of things that need to be up for debate. But what doesn't need to be up for debate is getting paid for your name. Because if you're popular enough, you've earned that. And you've earned the money as a result. I think for NCAA paying their players, there's a lot more variables at play, like I just said. Like, what do you think about that?
people, NCAA players, it's so hard to debate, and we would all have to think about it for a while to see what actually they would do. But you do pose good questions on what they're actually going to do in terms of who makes what money and all those. If I were to go into a side, I'm going to vote yes, they should get paid, but it should be a fixed amount. It should be not a high amount, just enough that they're actually making money for something they're doing.
So you think it should be fixed for all sports?
Yeah, I go all sports.
All sports. But what about, like, a lot of schools will have something like field hockey, where that's not really making that's peanuts compared to what basketball is making. So basketball players getting paid the same as field hockey players. Like, no disrespect to field hockey, but
at the
it's
end
not
of the day,
making the same amount of money.
If it were to ever happen, we're gonna see there would be tiers. I'm sure they would put out tiers saying basketball, football, top tier, second tier, I don't even know, and maybe it would be hockey, soccer, baseball, third tier down like that. That's how probably it would be made.
Because we play Ontario University Athletics, they do have tiers for sports. So like basketball and football are in the highest tier. We play soccer, we're in the second tier.
Yep.
And then there's a third tier for, I think, like skiing and things like that.
Track, I think so too.
Yeah. So if they did that, they would have to structure it like that, yes. But again, there are a lot of variables. Like, do men get the same amount as women in your scheme?
I mean,
is that not a question you want to answer with a microphone in
no,
front of
I'll
you?
throw it. At the end of the day, it's going to be, men are going to get paid more than women. At the end of the day, if we're going to compare it to, let's just talk about March Madness. How often do you actually watch women's March Madness?
I watch maybe the final.
Exactly, in the semifinal, and that's only because I can't pronounce that one girl's name, or nor do I know it. She hit 2 buzzer beaters in a row. That's the only reason I tuned into those games.
Yeah, and to be honest, last year's NCAA Division I final for women was insane. That was a great game.
It was.
We saw a good game.
But we also saw one team in women's basketball just absolutely destroy. It's UConn, isn't it?
Yeah,
destroy.
And no disrespect to women's sports.
Oh, none at all.
It's just the revenue that's driven in by men's is more than women. So I think if you can base it off of you get a percentage of the revenues, that makes the most amount of sense.
Yeah.
So that's where the difference would be, in my opinion. But again, we're not women. Would that work for them? Would that work for the men as well? A lot of things at play. But I think the avenue to pursue right now is getting paid like based off stuff on your name.
Okay.
So if somebody's making money from your name, you should be able to get money off of that as well. Because, like I said, there are some great players who will never ever make a cent off of basketball because their game is tailored towards the college game rather than the professional, the NBA game. I think college basketball is dying. If changes don't happen, it won't just be a few people who are going abroad to play professional basketball.
No, yeah, you're 100% right. It is dying. It is dying. The main part of it dying is just how greedy the NCAA is.
Yeah.
And how terrible they are to their players. Like, I'm actually shocked they canceled the tournament.
I mean, I can understand.
They should have. They did the right thing at the end of the day, but I'm shocked they still did it. It looked like a while.
Oh,
they were still
you're
gonna
shocked
run.
because the NCAA is
how
so
money
greedy.
hungry they are.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah. That I understand.
100%. They're known for stuff like that.
Like, it seemed like they were just going to run the tournament.
Oh, yeah, they were canceling, just doing limited staff, no fans, only family.
Yeah, and we're like, oh my god, like, no, you need to cancel this.
Like, I remember they were even trying to think of doing a 16-team tournament before that, even to get a little bit of revenue.
Yeah,
and then they wanted to even release the bracket, which made 0 sense.
Yeah, I don't know. Lots of stuff going wrong with the NCAA. They are in a bit of a crisis because it's not just they have competition now. It's not just like, oh, where else are you gonna play? You either play here, or you're not going to the NBA. Well, now there are other avenues that are available, and the NCAA needs to kind of seek a better competitive advantage compared to their adversaries. But
this draft is gonna be very important, I think, for how the NCAA actually deals with their next years, because we may see a lot more Euro players get drafted, and we'll see how well they play.
Well, the indications are that LaMelo Ball is the favorite to go first.
Yeah.
And I think, especially without a March Madness tournament to really showcase the best NCAA players, I think Wiseman and LaMelo Ball are going to be guys who are going. Like, if Golden State gets the first pick, they're taking Wiseman. And they have the worst record in the NBA. I don't think we're going to see the end of a regular season. So
neither do I.
Golden State, let's say, gets the first pick, they probably take Wiseman, and then I think LaMelo
Ball
Ball is going to be going in probably at the 2. So maybe even LaMelo Ball goes number 1 to a different team, depending on how the lottery goes.
Yeah, it depends where it goes. Watch Atlanta take Ball. Just watch.
That'd be so stupid.
Oh, I know, but watch. They've already talked about how they're thinking of doing it.
Oh my God! Could you imagine a backcourt with Trae Young and LaMelo Ball?
I mean, they'd be lethal on offense, but horrid on D.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It'd be a score fest.
Yeah, so it's gonna be it's gonna be a big summer for the NCAA because you're right. Based on the way it's trending, most people might opt to take the foreign players.
Your safe pick.
It's your safe pick, right? And also NCAA. Well, our stock isn't there anymore. So guys coming out of high school are gonna be like, hey, well, if I want to go high up in the draft, I'm not going NCAA anymore.
Yeah, it's true. We're also going to see a lot of players in the NCAA just stay an extra year.
Yeah.
May see a lot of second years stay for their third year instead of going in the draft just because their
Trey
name's
Jones.
just because their name's not big enough.
And also this could work to the advantage of the NCAA because like you were saying the goal how teams are getting upset, and I'm saying the Gulf and class is not the same. So maybe we're gonna get even more exciting March Madness tournaments because the competition's a little more similar.
I think we're gonna get the total opposite next year. Actually, I think we're gonna get teams like, let's go with Kentucky. A lot of their second years stay instead of going into the draft. They got a good team already. They have a good core of freshmen come in. They turn into a powerhouse.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think we're gonna
fair.
see like those top fives, like the Dukes, the Kansas teams like that, Villanova.
The product wouldn't be the same if you don't have the high quality players as well.
Exactly.
Like Zion Williamson, the amount of revenue that would have driven into the NCAA, and maybe a guy like him wouldn't want to play NCAA anymore. So.
Oh, I know. Last year, I remember when Zion blew out his knee?
Yeah.
When his sneaker blew.
Exploded.
How many people actually watched that game just to watch Zion play in Chapel Hill was huge.
Yeah. And he blew out his shoe right away. And there were people calling for Zion to shut down for the rest of the season. Like,
I remember that.
Injuries, right? So, a lot of variables that go into it. Bottom line is college ball is dying. The NCAA need to do something about it. But thank you for listening to the Amateur Hour Sports show. We post every single day on the show, so make sure you're following us with all the links in the description. Also, episode suggestions are welcome, and your comments on certain episodes are welcome. Let us know with any of the links in the description, but hopefully we see you again tomorrow for the next episode.